Hi, I hope you're doing well. This bass lesson is more or less completely unplanned. I have a drum loop at 119 beats per minute, and I'm just going to kick it in, play along to it, and see what happens and break down what I'm doing, explain it to you. So I'm in the key of G minor here. I'm going to build on lots of ideas as we go here. I'm going to do lots of different things. There's no tab here since I'm making this up on the spot, but we're in G minor. Now you need a collection of notes that sounds good. You need notes that you know is going to fit in whatever you're doing. This is going to be a bit ragged. This is not going to be polished, but it should sound pretty decent. So we've got G minor pentatonic here. And I was playing the notes of it just down in first position here. All these notes down here work. So we've got an F and a G, the first and third frets of the E string, B flat and C on the first and third frets of the A string. All those notes sound good. And all I was doing was this. There's a G, F, G, B flat, C. Little ghost note there as well. You'll see me finding things as we go. F to G. I'm channeling Bernard Edwards here. I love his bass lines. They often are quite riff based and they're often quite based around pentatonic as well. So I'm going F to G with a not with a ghost note, with an octave. So I'm using my first finger, index finger, to pluck the first note, and that longer middle finger is ready and waiting for the D string, as is the little finger on the octave, which is the 5th fret of the D string. Octaves are just great to make bass lines with. I'm keeping the notes short here. That's a combination of what your plucking hand fingers are doing and the control of your fretting hand. You know, I'm just touching the strings to stop them. And then I just use G's, B flats and C's to complete the riff. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, like you can hear me stumbling and messing things up. This is actually an example of how I might practice. Just set up a drum loop and just play, see what happens, in order to write something, but also in order to work on accuracy and, you know, the pressure of making something up and using scales to make up bass lines, all this kind of thing. So what I was doing there was breaking out into a kind of fuller scale than the minor pentatonic. So this is just a G natural minor scale. I didn't actually use any notes on the D string there. And I like doing this. I like restricting myself to different things. So in this case, maybe just notes on the E and the A strings. So we've got G, A, B flat, C, D, E flat. This time I was lengthening the notes a little bit. You know, this is the speed, and I was going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and those are 8th notes. But every now and again, putting a little bit more rhythm in. And I'm not thinking about individual rhythms here. You have to have a good sense of rhythm as a bass player. And if you listen to the drum beats, you can hear lots of intricate rhythms going on. Let's have a listen. Listen to the hi-hats doing loads of cool things. I must take this opportunity just to mention that drum beat actually. That's a loop that comes from my 100 Funk Bass Grooves book, and there are, I think I've got 100 loops, or loads of loops anyway. They're played by my great mate Jon Howells. I've played bass with him for years and years on gigs and lots of remote sessions. If you ever need a drummer for a project that you're doing online, hit Jon up, he's brilliant. I'll put his link below. And I'll also give you this loop to download. All I've done is I've put it in Logic and I've pressed the loop function. It's just going on and on. So you can do so much with this. So back to the G natural minor stuff. I'm just quite randomly going between different notes, and I'll try and work something out a bit more that I can show you now. Actually, hang on. Okay, so just really very, very simple, just playing those notes, the G, the A, the B flat, the C, and the D. I didn't actually go to an E flat. And just ascending the scale. Also, what I'm doing here, I'm really trying to use my ear more than anything, because I know the sound of that scale. So as I'm playing, I'm listening to where I want to go. This is a good ear training exercise. So I want to go up. Could go down again. So it stops becoming a scale when you inject some rhythms into it, and you think of it like it's a bass line and not just a scale going up and down. Just descending there to get back to that G again. Let's do a similar thing with octaves. Now you're watching me practice in real time, and you're watching me stumble as well. So when I'm playing that, I was aware that I was rushing a bit. So I tried to just sit on it a bit and relax a bit. You know, this is quite frantic. It's a funk kind of style, so there's lots of 16th notes, and I haven't played at all today. I'm basically editing a theory course at the moment, so I'm just up to my eyeballs in editing that. So this is just a, impromptu lesson. But I was doing octaves. That same technique as before, index, middle. Some ghost notes, I love those. Some going through different notes of the scale to get to another note. G, A, B flat there. You can hear that there are two rhythms there. Da, 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 carrying that on. At the end there, using those notes that I played at the beginning, the G's, F's, B flats and C's. If you know the notes under your fingers that fit, it really is very handy. We're talking, scales here. So in this particular example, I am restricting myself to, one key here, just G natural minor or G minor. So I'm restricting myself to that set of shapes. You can, of course, do anything when you're playing along to a drum loop or making something up. But I'm just keeping it relatively simple for now. There I stepped away from the funk style a bit more into the realms of rock. And I slid to the 10th fret of the A string, that's the G. Those are eighth notes all the way, so I'm lengthening the notes as well there, the note length. Instead of... So G to F. That's fret 10 to 8 on the A string. B flat to C. And I'm not caring about my technique here, I'm just using one finger all the way. To a D at the end. So really it's just, again, the notes of the scale. So if I start on the G here at the 10th fret and I just descend, I'm just descending the notes of the G natural minor scale. So G, F, E flat, D, C, B flat. Those are the notes that I can use without any doubts here. You can also fill in the gaps with chromatic notes if you like. So you know, that provides a lot of forward motion. Let's do that actually. So we're in the key of G minor, and the 1, 4 and 5 chords are all minor chords. So the 1 chord is the one built on the first note, that's G. Play up the notes of the scale till you hit number 4. That's the 4 chord and that's C. And D is the 5 chord. So those are the root notes of those chords. G, C, D. Frets 3 of the E string and then 3 and 5 of the A string. And what I was doing there was the exact same notes or patterns over each chord because they're all the minor chord, right? So, and I just did that, again, an example of restricting myself to fewer choices. So I had the root note G, the octave G, which is just 2 across, 2 down, and 2 frets lower than that is the flat 7. So I am thinking of it in terms of intervals, probably a bit more than that's G, G and F, right? So that's the root, octave, flat 7. Regardless of what you do, just remember that pattern. Because when you go to the C, it's the same pattern, D, D minor, same, C minor. So all of those notes fit when you go to any of those, you know, G, C or D notes. And you can do lots with that. So there, I was just leading to every single note chromatically, so, or every single root note. There was my G minor chord, and then basically just approach the next root note chromatically, like 2 frets lower than it. Do that pattern. Same thing here. From the D, 5th fret, approach it 2 frets lower. Same thing on the G. Okay, sorry, that's a bit hard, that one, but I'm going to show you anyway. That's another reason I like playing to drum loops. You just sort of get into it quite a lot, and it's a lot of fun. So I know this isn't easy, but I'll show you anyway. We have the same notes as before, the same patterns. The root, octave and flat 7. So fret 3 on the E and 5 and 3 on the D. And I just did 3 and 5, frets 3 and 5 on the A string as well. So notes C and D. It's the 4th and the 5th from the root. And you can do that same pattern on the C as well. And on the D. And what I'm doing here, I don't really even know. Let me try and work it out. Okay, so 2 plucks, on the G and the octave. And then that's a hammer on. So I'm using my little finger to hammer on. You could use your third as well. And then I'm doing a ghost note after that. And then lots of these articulations. Hammer on again between C and D. Third to fifth fret of the A string. Going to that F. Basically that. Hammer on, pluck. Hammer on, pluck, ghost note. That's kind of what I'm doing. See, there it is. Hammer on, ghost note. That kind of thing. That's a minor pentatonic scale. That's just the minor pentatonic scale in different positions, like this. If you learn that, then all of those notes will sound good like this. Look. You know, that scale I use all the time. This lesson could go on all day. I'm going to stop now. I've got more theory course to edit, but I just hope that helped you a little bit. I know it's a bit all over the place, but there you go. I'm sorry there's no tab. You can always, watch the lesson again, and I will give you the PDF of some of those shapes. You've got the backing track as well, the drum loop. I'll put links below to Jon's site, also to the theory course and the book, which has many, many more drum loops and actual bass lines to play along to. But I think it's a good idea to work on your timing this way, and also to work on that relationship between, the key, notes that fit, and creativity, just making stuff up. And I really could go all day making stuff up, even being quite restrictive with just one key. But imagine what you can do with different drum loops, moving to different keys, different chords. But I do think it's a good idea just to restrict yourself a little bit. So I hope that helped. If there was anything in that lesson that you would want me to explain further, then let me know in the comments below. I'll get back to you. Do search my YouTube channel. I'm sure I've probably got a lesson on it anyway. Thanks very much for watching. See you next time.